Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Malak Abdel-Ghaffar, member of the class of 2021.
Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, President Hamilton, Vice Chancellor Westerman, Mr. Berkeley, esteemed faculty, honorable staff, distinguished guests, friends, families, and the class of 2021. This isn't just any other Zoom call. Today, hundreds of homes, offices, cafes, and small dorm rooms in over 100 countries will synchronize to celebrate us. And graduates, your dreams of traveling the world and having a true NYU global experience are coming true tonight. Excuse us, COVID, just give us 5 minutes to celebrate, please. Your names will be praised in streets and towns you may have never seen before, but which will forever hold your mark and light up in purple. To our families who could not be here with us tonight, but are watching and smiling intently through screens, we are out of words to how much we miss your presence and long to see the proud looks in your eyes. Love you, Mami, Papi, Farah. To our professors and staff who guided us remarkably before the pandemic, but then showed us the change and grace they preached when times got rough. To Global Ed, Student Life, Res Ed, CDC, who bore with us through so many breakdowns and over-the-top event proposals. To our forever heroes, Serco, ADNH, dining hall staff, public safety, from delivering our quarantine meals to checking up on us every day and saying goodnight. Your smiles and constant care are the reasons we made it through the past 4 years. We thank each and every one of you from the bottom of our hearts. Am I muted? Nah, I almost got you there. In a year and a half full of, can you hear me? My internet is breaking, and thank you so much, Professor. The memory of our life before this virtual setting seems distant and detached. If someone had told us that we'd be graduating with half of our education in person and half on Zoom, we would have had a full-on campus Skype fight with them. As the first class to have a large portion of their university experience influenced by the pandemic, we know exactly how it feels to be suddenly deprived of something we were absolutely certain we're going to have, and quite frankly, took for granted. Personally, I've always been a complete geek for education, and there was never a time where I felt like more of an outsider to mine than the past year and a half. Although it was, and still remains, extremely tough, it was also a much-needed wake-up call for me, one that complements a lesson my parents had been trying to teach me for years. I was fortunate enough to be supported by my parents, who were willing to sacrifice everything to give their daughters good education, even if the price was sometimes their own well-being. I've watched my parents traverse the unlikely and the unfamiliar to carve out opportunities for our family. My father learned and advanced his English on his own to access better opportunities abroad. He spent much of his life away from us to pave the way for our family to become better educated. My mother spent hours making space for us to pursue our dreams, even if that came of the price of her own. She opened doors she didn't even have the keys for by making kindness the forefront of her actions. My parents devoted their lives to make mine comfortable, and at many times, I felt like I was living a life I didn't deserve. So, I promised that I would always find ways to give back, even if it was in the simple form of excelling in my own education. This feeling continued with me throughout the past 4 years. I would often ask myself, did I really just go from Abu Dhabi to Cairo to Buenos Aires to New York? Was I just in a class discussing the climate crisis from 20 people from 20 different countries? Do I have unlimited access to healthcare, resources, professors, and opportunities? Like many of you, I would ask myself, How could I ever possibly give back to everyone and everything who made me reach this big empty gym that I'm standing in right now? Every time I felt overwhelmed with these thoughts, I would call my father and he would say, ملك, مش ممكن نتحكم في الرزق اللي ربنا كاتبه لنا، بس ممكن نتحكم في مسؤولياتنا ونقوم بيها. Sometimes we don't have control over our privileges, but we always have control over our responsibilities. Drawing from his words, I wonder if we've given ourselves the chance to reflect at our time at NYU Abu Dhabi and understand our responsibilities of this global institution, which I found to be one of the best ways of giving back. Does our ability to press launch Zoom meeting make us think about those who were deprived of their education for their entire lives? Do we do anything about it beyond think? Did our sudden deprivation of physical books, going to fancy conferences across the globe, and attending sports tournaments hurt us? Did it allow us to think of alternative solutions? Do we intend to pursue our candidate weekend dreams of saving the world and becoming global leaders? Did we laugh at that before? Do we see why we laughed now? Did our access to a COVID-19 vaccine stored in the buildings that we live in, which allows us to continue our education smoothly, make us think about our position in the world? Can we recognize that our plans and expectations often break to make way for new opportunities? Do we realize that our access to opportunities in itself is an immense privilege? And are we aware that these liberties can be temporary? As we leave this institution today, I ask you to consider the NYU Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates values we've been cherishing here over the past 4 years. Our university introduced us to the inequalities happening globally. This country has provided us with a safe and secure place to pursue our education. And our classmates have taught us compassion and truth. Now, I urgently ask you to carry each other's voices and stories everywhere you go. Many of the places we will end up in, whether it's NGOs, consulting firms, or graduate schools, might not be as inclusive or supportive as this place. But remember, one conversation can break a silence and change everything. One of the most important lessons NYU Abu Dhabi has taught me is how to be an ally. When to speak up when necessary, how to stay reserved if needed, how to advocate for our common humanity even when it seems difficult or ineffective, and how to hold each other and ourselves accountable if we ever stay silent on matters we care about. I know it's difficult to celebrate when the world seems like it's collapsing. It's challenging to smile when people are being forced out of their homes and brutally murdered. It is hard to breathe when people around the world are dying from the lack of oxygen. It is almost impossible to go about our day without remembering that people still have to prove their worth and fight for it because they have a different skin color or identity. I cannot stand here today and claim that everything will be okay. Just made a poem, shout out to my creative writing degree. What I can say though is that the people I have met here have proven to me every single day that it takes one dedicated, relentless person to create change. And NYU Abu Dhabi is full of those. Most of us have talked about our fears that nothing can even surpass the experiences we have had at NYU Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates. And I owe much of my gratitude to this country and its leadership. 2021 will be a breakthrough year for the United Arab Emirates, not only because it marks the 50th year of the country's union and the beginning of the next 50, but also because it marks a start for a life that is different and novel for everyone in this country and around the world. Despite all the hardships, it is an exciting start for us, one that we will, of course, be agile, honorable, resilient, and flexible in, of course. Class of 2021, or should I say XXMMI. Thank you, SYE. I can for certainly say that this class left a legacy like no other. I am so proud of each and every one of you for always standing up and fighting for what you believe in. To our senior year bubble tea hotspots, the never-ending Korean barbecues, the groundbreaking Red Theater dances, the KFCs, the SIGs, and the online screaming sessions. Honestly, what keeps me going every single day, besides obsessively checking my email for any acceptance letters, is knowing that the people I was surrounded with here are leaving this place with enough karak in their stomachs, sunburns from beach days on their bodies, and powerful conversations on their minds to always seek better. This island radiates happiness because of your beautiful energies. Graduates, I ask you to keep asking yourselves and others around you questions you may fear the answers for, to hold yourselves and others accountable. As my father would say, I ask you to recognize your privilege, whatever it may be, and to be responsible, to think about your positions in the world, and to count your blessings now and forever. Always remember, silence is violence. One small good act can and will change our humanity for the better. It truly kills me that I'm thousands of chihuahuas away from you. But when I close my eyes, I think of the people I love. So it's quite easy for me to imagine you all here. Thank you.